Cristiano Ronaldo walked off a World Cup pitch for the last time at 41, the only player in history to score across 6 FIFA World Cups. 5 Ballon d'Ors, over 900 career goals, a legacy most athletes couldn't dream of. And yet, one decision, or maybe a chain of them, may have been the biggest mistake of his career, reshaping how the world remembers his final chapter. Every legendary career has a turning point. For Ronaldo, it didn't happen on the pitch. To understand the choice that altered his legacy, you have to go back to where it all began. Cristiano Ronaldo was born in 1985 on the island of Madeira, far from the stadium lights and global attention that would one day follow his every move. His family lived in a small, tin-roofed home where money was always tight and the future never guaranteed. Dolores, his mother, worked long hours as a cook and a cleaner to keep food on the table. His father, Denis Aveiro, struggled with alcoholism, making home life unpredictable and sometimes painful. These early years were not shaped by comfort, but by a daily struggle to get by, a reality that pressed on young Ronaldo with a weight few children ever know. From the start, there was a restlessness in him. He would cry when he lost, lash out in frustration when teammates missed chances, and stay out on the pitch long after others had gone home. That drive didn't come from arrogance. For Ronaldo, it was a way to survive, to carve out something permanent in a world that felt fragile. When Sporting Lisbon called, he was only 12. The decision to leave Madeira wasn't just about football. It meant leaving behind his mother, his siblings, and the only place he'd ever known. Alone in Lisbon, mocked for his accent and haunted by homesickness, he channeled every ache into training, every disappointment into resolve. The sacrifice of childhood became the foundation of his obsession. For Ronaldo, greatness was never a luxury. It was a way out, a promise to himself that he would never go back. Manchester United in 2003 was a world away from the island pitches of Madeira or the academy fields of Lisbon. The Premier League was ruthless, the dressing room filled with champions, and every mistake could mean the end of a dream. For a teenager with a flashy step-over and a hunger that bordered on obsession, it was both a proving ground and a crucible. Sir Alex Ferguson saw more than tricks and raw speed. He saw a player in need of structure, someone who could become unstoppable with the right discipline. Ferguson demanded more than talent. He demanded consistency, sacrifice, and a new kind of professionalism. Ronaldo's days of showboating on the wing gave way to extra hours in the gym, endless tactical drills, and a relentless focus on the team's needs over individual glory. Teammates recall Ferguson shouting at Ronaldo to stop practicing so late, reminding him that even the most driven player needed to save energy for the real battles. The message was clear. Greatness wasn't just about wanting it more, but about working smarter, respecting the process, and trusting the system. The transformation was rapid. Ronaldo learned to track back, to press, to link play, and to finish with both feet and his head. His statistics soared, but so did his influence. 3 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, and the 2008 Champions League trophy arrived in quick succession. In 2008, the Ballon d'Or finally confirmed what the football world had started to suspect. The boy from Madeira was now the best player on the planet. Behind the headlines stood Ferguson, the mentor who had built not just a star, but a professional whose standards would define the rest of his career. The football world changed overnight in June 2009 when Real Madrid paid a world record £80 million to sign Cristiano Ronaldo. The fee rewrote the economics of the game, but the true transformation happened on the pitch. Madrid demanded more than stardom. They demanded history. Ronaldo answered with numbers that still stagger belief: 451 goals in 438 competitive matches, a scoring rate unmatched at the elite level. Every season, he shattered another record, each goal pulling the club closer to its obsession, the Champions League. The Bernabeu became a stage for something epic. 4 Champions League titles arrived in 5 years. Ronaldo scored in 3 finals, including a brace in Cardiff and the decisive penalty in Milan. His name echoed through European nights, his celebration a ritual for millions. But greatness was never a solo act. Across Spain, Lionel Messi was rewriting his own records for Barcelona. The rivalry between Ronaldo and Messi became the sport's central drama, each pushing the other to impossible standards. Ballon d'Or trophies traded hands, 3 for Ronaldo during his Madrid years, but always with Messi in the rearview mirror or just ahead. Every Clásico felt like a referendum on who would define the era. As his body changed, so did his game. The flying winger who terrorized fullbacks at United evolved into a pure striker, mastering movement in the box, timing, and finishing with both feet and his head. Injuries and age forced reinvention, but the goals never stopped. The Madrid period became the benchmark, an apex against which every later decision, every late career move would be measured. For nearly a decade, Ronaldo was as close to untouchable as any player has ever been. The legend was built here in white, under the weight of expectation and the glare of endless rivalry. The night of July 10, 2016 in Paris stands apart from every other chapter in Ronaldo's story. Portugal faced France in the final of Euro 2016, a match loaded with history and heartbreak. Barely 9 minutes in, a collision with Dimitri Payet left Ronaldo clutching his knee, fighting back tears. He tried to play on, limping through pain, but by the 25th minute, he collapsed to the turf and signaled for help. As the captain's armband passed to Nani, Ronaldo's dream of leading his country on the field seemed to end in agony. But the story didn't stop there. From the sideline, wrapped in a training jacket, he transformed into Portugal's loudest voice, shouting encouragement, barking instructions, urging his teammates through every surge of French pressure. Coach Fernando Santos later said Ronaldo's energy and presence on the touchline kept the team focused and united. When Eder scored in extra time, giving Portugal its first major international trophy, the cameras found Ronaldo in tears again, this time overwhelmed by triumph. The victory was more than a personal milestone. It was a national breakthrough, a reward for years of near misses and disappointment. In that moment, Ronaldo proved his influence was bigger than any single goal. He became the heartbeat of a team, a leader whose legacy stretched beyond the numbers. The summer of 2018 brought a new jersey, a new country, and a fresh set of questions. When Ronaldo left Madrid for Juventus, the world watched to see if the legend could build yet another empire. The transfer fee, over 100 million euros, sent shockwaves through Serie A, a league known for its defensive rigor and unforgiving pace. In Turin, Ronaldo arrived as both a symbol of ambition and a test of limits. The goals kept coming. 81 in the league across 3 seasons, another 20 in Cups and Europe. He delivered 2 Serie A titles and a Coppa Italia, still finding the net with a precision that seemed untouched by age. But beneath the surface, the rhythm was changing. The explosive sprints of his 20s gave way to calculated movement. Hamstring strains and muscle tweaks began to appear more often on the team sheet. For the first time, press conferences included questions about minutes managed, not just matches won. The conversation around Ronaldo shifted, not about whether he was still elite, but how long he could keep denying time. At Juventus, the aura of invincibility softened. He remained the focal point, but the margins grew tighter. Champions League exits stung deeper, and critics wondered if the decision to leave Madrid had traded legacy for a new challenge that offered fewer guarantees. Each milestone in Italy carried a double edge, another record, another reminder that greatness is always negotiating with the clock. The final chapter was no longer just about numbers. It was about the choices that would define how the world remembered the end. The first time Ronaldo stepped back onto the Old Trafford pitch in September 2021, the roar felt like a homecoming. Supporters waved banners, sang his name, and for a moment, it was as if the years had vanished. The boy who left as a Ballon d'Or winner returned as a living legend. There was hope that one of football's greatest stories could find a new chapter in familiar colors. On the field, Ronaldo delivered as if time hadn't touched him. 24 goals across all competitions, including match winners and Champions League drama, reminded everyone that his instincts and drive were still sharp. Even as his role shifted, less a winger, more a poacher, he found ways to matter. The numbers suggested a player who could still bend games to his will. But the club around him had changed. Manchester United, once built on clear vision and strong leadership, now lurched between managers and transfer strategies. That season, the dugout became a revolving door. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was replaced by Ralf Rangnick, and uncertainty grew with every press conference. Recruitment faltered, with expensive signings struggling for form and cohesion. The team finished 6th in the Premier League, far from the standards Ronaldo remembered. Inside the dressing room, frustration simmered. The system no longer played to his strengths, and the squad felt divided, caught between nostalgia and the demands of modern football. The pressure mounted with every dropped point, every headline about tactics or attitude. Erik ten Hag's appointment loomed in the background, promising a new order, but also hinting at a future where Ronaldo's status might be questioned. The old home felt less like a sanctuary and more like a reminder of what had been lost. For Ronaldo, the return was both a celebration and a warning. His personal output stayed elite, but the structure around him was fragile, unable to match his expectations or ambition. The tension built quietly, each week drawing the line between legacy and reality a little sharper, setting the stage for the confrontation that would soon spill into the open. The tension that had been simmering inside Manchester United finally erupted in November 2022. Cristiano Ronaldo, frustrated by weeks of benchings and a fractured relationship with manager Erik ten Hag, chose a path few expected. He sat down for a 90-minute interview with Piers Morgan. The cameras rolled as Ronaldo spoke with the candor of a man who had decided he had nothing left to lose. He accused United's leadership of betrayal, questioned the club's ambition, and made it clear he felt disrespected by ten Hag. When asked why he was speaking now, Ronaldo answered simply, "It is the time to say something." The spark for this public reckoning came just weeks earlier. Ten Hag had confirmed that Ronaldo refused to come on as a substitute against Tottenham, a decision that sent shockwaves through the club and the wider football world. In the interview, Ronaldo didn't hold back. He criticized the club's direction, called out the owners, and even took aim at former teammates who had questioned his attitude. The effect was immediate. United's hierarchy, blindsided by the scale and tone of the revelations, moved quickly. Within days, the club announced that Ronaldo's contract had been terminated by mutual consent. The statement was brief, almost clinical, thanking him for 145 goals and 346 appearances, but making clear that the relationship had become impossible to repair. The fallout extended far beyond Old Trafford. The interview became a global phenomenon, generating hundreds of millions of views across social media and dominating headlines from Manchester to Madrid. Yet the response was sharply divided. Some fans and pundits praised Ronaldo's honesty, arguing that he had every right to defend his legacy and speak out against what he saw as mismanagement. Others saw it as an act of self-sabotage, a moment when pride and frustration eclipsed judgment. Jamie Carragher called the remarks a disgrace, while Rio Ferdinand and Patrice Evra offered sympathy, suggesting that hurt and disappointment can push even legends to desperate measures. Online polls and fan forums reflected the split. In one survey, nearly 80% of United supporters disagreed with Ronaldo's decision to go public. Sponsors and clubs watched the backlash closely, weighing the risks of aligning with a player who had just burned bridges in such spectacular fashion. The interview, intended as a last stand, instead closed the door on any hope of a graceful exit or a final act in elite European football. For Ronaldo, the moment was both a reckoning and a release. He had chosen to air his grievances on his own terms, knowing the cost. The rupture was final. The world was left to debate. Was this the biggest mistake of his career, or the inevitable outcome of a longer struggle between ambition, aging, and the refusal to fade quietly? The answer, like the man himself, would resist easy judgment. The contract that brought Cristiano Ronaldo to Al-Nassr in December 2022 was unlike anything football had seen, a deal worth over $200 million a year, stretching through the summer of 2027. The numbers alone drew headlines, but the real story ran deeper. For Ronaldo, the move was both an escape and a gamble, a chance to keep scoring, to stay in the spotlight, but at the cost of leaving behind the unforgiving standards of European football. On the pitch, his output remained staggering. In his first full season, he delivered 35 league goals in 31 games, breaking records and claiming the Golden Boot. The following years saw more of the same: 28 goals in 30 matches in the 2025-26 campaign, nearly a goal per game. Al-Nassr's profile soared, sponsors poured in, and the Saudi Pro League became a destination for stars who once would have never considered it. Ronaldo's presence turned the league into a global spectacle, with broadcasts reaching millions who had never watched a match from Riyadh. Yet for every highlight, a question lingered. Could these numbers, achieved in a league far from the old crucibles of Madrid or Turin, carry the same weight? Critics argued that goals in Saudi Arabia would never match those scored in the Champions League. No major trophy arrived in his first seasons, and the absence of elite competition led some to say the move diluted his legacy. Others insisted it was a new form of greatness, lifting a league, not just a team, and redefining what influence in football could mean. The trade-off was plain. Ronaldo had chosen a path that offered global impact and staggering reward, but also invited debate over what true sporting ambition demands at the end of a legendary career. Toronto, July 2026. The stadium lights burn into the night as Cristiano Ronaldo, age 41, laces up for Portugal in the World Cup one final time. The number 7 on his back carries the weight of 2 decades, 6 tournaments, and a nation's hope for one last miracle. With every step, the lines on his face and the measured pace of his run speak of a body that has given everything to the game. Yet, even now, the eyes searching for the ball are as sharp as ever. He stands over the penalty spot, the world silent for a moment, and delivers what will be his last World Cup goal, a strike that makes him the only player to score in 6 different tournaments. The ball hits the net, and for a brief second, time seems to pause. Not for the result, but for what it represents: the end of an era, the closing of a story that began on the cracked streets of Madeira and stretched across Manchester, Madrid, Turin, and beyond. Portugal's journey ends in heartbreak, falling to Croatia on penalties. But the scene that lingers is Ronaldo's walk to the touchline, head high, eyes glassy, applauded by teammates and rivals alike. There is no outburst, no tears, only a quiet acceptance. He has given everything, and the game has finally caught up. The farewell is not just his, it belongs to a generation of fans who grew up tracing his every move. In this moment, the question of legacy feels both sharper and more distant. The records will remain: 9 World Cup goals, 146 for Portugal, 6 tournaments scored in, but it is the sense of finality that settles in, heavy and undeniable. The age of Ronaldo in international football has drawn to a close. In the end, greatness is never immune to time or to the weight of a single choice. Even now, Ronaldo's story fuels debates about ambition, adaptation, and how legends confront their own limits. The world watches as new stars rise, but his discipline and longevity set a standard that endures. Legacy is not written by one decision, it's forged by a lifetime of relentless pursuit. What does greatness mean to you?